All right. So, I said it before. Get into it now. We're on my death grips. I'm a gross human being, guys. Death grips. Famed Cali experimental rap outfit hardcore bringers of aggression and hatred and loud, verbose aggression. Death grips. They have had a huge impact on the underground scene, and throughout their relatively short career, they've put out a ton of great material, a lot of really interesting material, and a lot of people link the beginnings of it to this mixtape. This is their ex-military tape, and this was them sort of still trying to find where they were from, but some of the cuts on this are absolutely monstrous. Tracks like Tachyon and freaking Guillotine. Spread You Across the Block is there are some that you would probably never hear out of the Death Grips catalog from here on in, because they totally go in their own totally bizarre direction. But tracks like Spread You Across the Block have almost like a bit of a surf rock riff, or a skate rock rather riff in it, as well as tracks like Through the Walls that are upbeat in this totally non 2012 on Death Grips way. Yet it all fused together in this absolutely incredible aggressive package. And actually, my pressing is a bit of a bootleg, I believe, unfortunately. Because I know that Third World managed to get a pressing of it before, but I think this is some kind of it's from France is what it came from, and watch yourself. If you can see, it's got these weird streaks through it, which I thought were not meant to be there at first, which freaked me out a little. They're actually intentional. But yeah. Interesting to see, but thank you, France, for a fairly useful bootleg. Because I like this record, and I didn't know that Thorough World was going to put it out. Or maybe it was Harvest that put it out. I don't recall, honestly. I'm pretty shit about that. But, I guess I'm going to have to start trying to censor things with this. But, whoo! Yeah, this is their major label debut, The Money Store. And I think that they really solidify their place in the rap game with this. I mean, their hooks get much more grabbing. Their depths get much deeper. This is a much, I feel, realized darkness in their rapping, and just absolutely brutal throughout the tracks. I think that I've Seen Footage is probably what is most accessible out of this, but for my money, The Fever, Punk Weight, I'm a big fan of the instrumental on Punk Weight. Bitch Please is, it just goes right into that straightforward punch in the face type viscera, just loaded with these wonderful, catchy industrial rap tracks, which you usually don't see coming together, but that's the magic of Death Grips. Bro. And everything else I have is just on black. It's real tough to get your hands on legitimate, limited type Death Grips material. And, you know what? I'm not even going to try to show the front of this. Not even going to bother. This is No Love Deep Web. And for those of you that are familiar with the band, you know why I'm not showing the cover. And this, I feel this is another release they dropped in 2012, one of their 2 records, and part of what annoyed this, and this got them kicked off their initial label, is that they released this for free on its release date after loads of controversy and weird scavenger hunt type situations with it. But this record, I would say, while not as immediately catchy as The Money Store, it still has that same grit, that same aggression, And the production, I feel, is much busier and noisier in comparison to the rest. And some of MC Ride's most charged and emotional performances are on that. Like in the opening track, "Come Up and Get Me," he almost starts like yelping. He's like hitting these high registered segments where he just sort of breaks, and it's just absolutely insane just how heavy it gets. So yeah, another very great record from the Death Grips. And I'm just going in order. So we're trying to sort it as I go because that's what we're doing here. And then that moves us on to, because I don't have government plates, and I might get it just because, completionist sake, but not as big a fan of that one. However, this record, this is the double LP, The Powers That Be. Powers That Be. And this, of course, combines Niggas on the Moon with Ginny Death, the second part of this, and this is just a huge experimentation for Death Grips. Again, they keep sonically progressing throughout their career, which is absolutely stunning in such a short period of time, but the first segment of this is this kind of like trip-hop that you didn't really expect from him. MC Ride's delivery, while no less charged, you can feel like the energy pulsating from it. It feels a little more measured at the same time. Like vocally, he is much more in control. He's kind of like riding the rhythm rather than like fucking jumping on top of it like a jungle gym or something like that. I don't know. Those are the kind of visuals that I get from listening to this music. But yeah. And on the second one, they try a whole lot on Ginny Death. They try some much more, direct, in-your-face material that you would expect on them, but with some deviations, significant deviations, including tracks like, there's the gatefold, on GP, which almost incorporates elements of like shoegaze and like these really significant guitar breaks. It's absolutely stunning. That's actually one of my favorite Death Grip songs of all time. But another great record from them. Keep at it. And we'll move on to their 2016 release, which followed what was this kind of sort of not really realized breakup in 2015 that they wrote on like a napkin. So, that really, how legitimate was it? But this is their comeback record. And it very much takes nods from the Money Store in terms of, those like catchier hooks and much more, I guess, palatable tracks. They aren't trying to, get too abrasive with it outside of tracks like Hothead. And I guess what you can say of this is that they pull, that Money Store kind of ideology to them, but they integrate some of their newer ideas as well. Like there's some of those trip-hop elements in some of these productions. There are some of those like really heavy, just like pure in your face punk moments, such as Hothead. And it's just all across the board fantastic. And they did a gatefold in spite of it being a single LP, which always cool. One of my favorites out of this year. Out of last year, rather. Yeah! And this is the last one. Bit of a completist type pick. This is Fashion Week Interview 2016. This is an instrumentals type release from the Death Grips. With this sort of used to hold over the fans in the time of need. This is, without MC Ride, and I feel like there's a certain amount of, personality lost with that, but at the same time, there's still some really interesting material on this, and when Fashion Week on its own was released as either a Record Store Day or a Black Friday exclusive at some point, I ended up kind of giving it a pass, but in the following, this is definitely on Black Friday 2016, yes. They decided to release it as a double LP alongside with this Fashion Week 2016 or this interview 2016 release, which was a 32-minute instrumental segment over what looked to be an interview, but they don't show the interview itself. But yeah, so really interesting, noisy, and harsh instrumentals from Zach Hill and Highlighter. And woo! And of course, it's showing on the back the brand deals that Death Grip's got. Like they're endorsed by Starbucks, and I believe it's Purina. Yeah, certain level cigarettes. Just looking all sad and mopey, as you do when you're a Death Gripper. So, next record I am going to be showing you is Deep Purple with Machine Head. Some classic hard rock from the boys. This is, this pressing, I think, came from, like, some kind of special repress. I don't recall exactly what it was in light of. But, I do know that it resulted in, this fucking Exile on Main Street ass inner sleeve, which looking real nice, as you would expect, but also a nice little, very heavy clear wax pressing. Nice. Always really interesting to see like a Warner Brothers logo with some unique non-black wax. It just feels odd in a way. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, cool of them to do an inner sleeve, or a gatefold with a single disc record. And of course, significant modern psych rock record, Deer Hunter with Halcyon Digest, my only Deer Hunter record right now. But these guys create this very hazy, layered rock music that just sounds absolutely mesmerizing. It takes, lots of listens to, I think, really sift through everything that they offer with their releases. And they're pretty good about, delivering not an overly long rock record, which I appreciate, because I feel like something this heavy might overstay its welcome with anything more than the tracks offered here. But yeah, as is. Great. Then we got, Deltron 3030, self-titled. A huge step for alternative hip-hop, alternative personalities in hip-hop, talking on some futuristic dystopian shit. And the rapping on this is absolutely, it's so interesting how this breeded, some of the more modern, abstract type artists, dudes from the mellow music camp, dudes from, like Rhymesters, like Aesop Rock and the like. You can feel the influence pulsating out of this. And I think maybe, like, Cannibalox would have gotten some nods from this. I mean, I'm sure that they had their own stuff going on. It was within a very near time frame, but I'm sure that they listened to this record. And it is great. It is very interesting. Very, cold feel you get off the instrumentals as well. It's very interesting. Very worthwhile. Got some of my Destroyer. I am a huge Dan Behar mark. I think that, aside from being very well spoken, the way he delivers his lyrics is just so engaging. He's got this very sharp wit, and he's able to, pull out these great poetic phrases and kind of like have it all crash down with this really vulgar just jab. It's super interesting to listen to. And this is one of his better records. This is Destroyer's Rupees. Came out in 2007, I believe. And it's got much more of a traditional rock vibe, a little bit of a lo-fi recording on this, which sounds great, especially on tracks like freaking 3000 Flowers. That really jagged riff that opens it up just sounds absolutely it's great. I love it. And a weird thing about he does with his vinyl pressings, at least for the ones that I've gotten, is that on usually about halfway through, he'll interrupt it with this really chunky, this drone track almost, this very very hazy, usually with a little bit of electronic accompaniment and no vocals whatsoever. Just this drone piece. This one's known as Lucille's Rupees. And it's just really interesting here because I'm pretty sure that on the traditional digital copies, they don't have it. So I'm curious what the thought process was behind adding all of them. I listen to them, and I don't feel like they take away from the flow of the album, but I feel like other people might feel that way, so it's very weird. It's very odd indeed. And the same thing comes up on this, Kaput, his little foray into disco and what have you. Big fan amongst big record amongst lots of the critics and fans alike because, a good venture into disco is always welcome. Remember that. And just some more of the same, and this time it's actually got little subtitles, but generally most people refer to the Dronier passage on side 3 as just The Laziest River, which is an apt title if either I have heard one. But yeah, actually, with the lyrics, they're all in black. Just got them. So yeah. This is a band that I need more of their stuff for, but I only have this right now. And it is Dinosaur Jr. Give a glimpse of what you're not. Absolutely raucous and bright, shimmering garage rock, alt rock sound. They started out in the 80s and produced some pretty well-known material, such as You're Living All Over Me and Bug, but they came back, I think, around 2009 and put out some pretty interesting records as well. Farm being the big noteworthy one for a lot of people, but this is their 2016 release. And, it's definitely not my favorite in their catalog. I feel like there were definitely enough moments that I was just, watering at the mouth for more Dinosaur Jr., because I absolutely adore their sound, and they, perform it well in two form on this record. So while I'm normally a big fan of, supporting sonic progression, I am at the same time so enamored with the sound that I'm willing to pick up some, a little extra from them just because I like it. So, yeah. Nice record. Pretty simple. And pressing, I believe, outside of having a really nice little printed inner sleeve, is on this deep purple. Very similar to the Death Heaven pressing, but I think with a little less attention to detail in the streaking and what have you. Still, deep purple is a very good color for wax. I'm a big fan when I can see something like that. Yeah, we take those, boy. Yeah. Keeping at it because we're on a tear right now, bro. We're on a freaking tear. This is Dispatch with Bang Bang. This is a pretty interesting grassroots type record. I think very low key and I guess kind of almost Jimmy Buffett-esque, I guess you could say, in terms of their delivery. But I think that the vocals on this are really engaging, and I absolutely love some of the rudimentary percussion that they incorporate into that. It feels almost like in a very, very slight way Tom Waits inspired. And some of the tracks on here are just really engaging on an emotional level, something that I think they didn't manage to really hit with any of their other records, but it was interesting here all the same, and I thought that I would give it a little shot because I saw it in the store, and it was pretty cheap. So yeah, and other than one of the grainy picture type inner sleeves, came on this Cash Money green. Pretty stuff. So yeah. And yeah. Keeping at it. Keeping at it. Ooh. That is, DJ Shadow with Introducing. Obviously, kind of a staple at this point. Very significant record in the field of plunderphonics, of rap, of, sampling as a whole, as an idea. This is kind of a love letter to music in a lot of ways, which I adore, and I don't feel like I can put across how significant this record is, because way too many people have tried or already done it way better than I ever will. So I'm just going to say, it's introducing. I got it because I should have it, and you should have it, and listen to it. And let's go with last thing we're going to put. Also a classic, of course. Ooh, see that? Fucking Dram with Broccoli featuring Lil Yachty. I am a Lil Yachty mark, and I will encourage you to fight me over it, because I think he is a significant figure to have. He's someone that we should have in the rap game at this point. It means a lot. And this single is fantastic. It's just so catchy and fun and upbeat. Everything works on this track, and it's great. It's definitely a reason that I'm looking forward to Dram's future content, because he is a single machine. And of course, that's one of the best picture discs you're ever going to get, I swear to God. And the backside has Cha-Cha, which, those of you who aren't aware, I think it's more of a, I guess, culturally noteworthy track in that it inspired, or allegedly inspired, rather, Drake's Hotline Bling, and it also caught the eyes of Beyonce. So it kind of put Dram on the map in a lot of ways, despite being, musically not super interesting. It's, it's a pretty alright track, and I'll play it when I have the disc out, but it's most noteworthy for this really interesting, chopped and screwed Mario sample, and being, of course, sonically very similar to Hotline Bling. So, yeah, that's all I got for now. Making some nice headway. Gonna be done with the D's in just a minute, but for the time being, thank you for watching, my dudes. You have a good day.